What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 71 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you would like one-on-one counseling or to launch or join a group using the podcasts or the From Ashes to Destiny curriculum, please send me a message by email at david@from-a-to-d.com or go to my website www.from-a-to-d.org and click on the contact page. If you'd like to get the From Ashes to Destiny curriculum, you can find it on Amazon in Kindle format or in paperback book. When we come back, we'll get into this episode entitled Social Invisibility in Addiction. Welcome back to episode 71 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast entitled Social Invisibility in Addiction. Do you ever feel invisible? Do you feel like people can see you, but they don't actually see you as an individual? They just see you as some person there and don't even care to see the real you. Maybe your invisibility came from no one listening to you. I grew up in a home and in a time when children were to be seen but not heard. That just meant, David, keep your mouth shut unless we ask you to speak. And that is the same as feeling invisible. Most people who've been caught in addiction know this feeling of invisibility. Psychologists use the term social invisibility to describe a group of people in this society who've been separated or systematically ignored by the public. Besides addicts, it could include senior citizens, especially in elderly homes, children in orphanages, the poor, racial minorities, homeless people, or anyone who experiences a sense of being ignored or separated from society as a whole. So we're talking about someone who's ignored and treated as if they're not being seen. And when children grow up in a family where they feel that they're not being seen and always being ignored, and their feelings are being invalidated, well, they grow up feeling invisible as children, as well as keeping that scar, which makes them feel invisible later on as adults. Feeling invisible then can lead to emotional withdrawal, especially in social settings, because it carries over from the way we felt in our family. And this withdrawal and isolation can lead us into addiction. We grow up with low self-esteem, a sense of low self-worth, and a feeling that we just don't fit in or belong anywhere. This can be described as the invisibility syndrome. It's the feeling people get when their abilities, their personality, and their very worth are just being disregarded. In the book, The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, which was the first book written by an African American to win the U.S. Fiction Book of the Year in the early 1950s, Ellison describes this invisibility syndrome as a result of racial prejudice this way. First, he says, I am invisible simply because people refuse to see me. Later on, he says, I was pulled this way and that for longer than I can remember. And my problem was that I was always trying to go in everyone's way but my own. And finally, he concludes, what and how much had I lost by trying to do only what was expected of me instead of what I myself had wished to do. Do you feel the same way in your addiction or recovery? That people are refusing to see the real you? Do you feel pulled this way and that, wishing you could fit in? Do you feel like you've spent years, maybe your whole life, just doing what people expected of you? Is it time to live your dreams, to make your wishes come true? I heard an anonymous quote once, and perhaps you feel this way. And I quote, "It would be easy to say that I feel invisible. Instead, I feel painfully visible and entirely ignored." This is a tough one because in recovery we feel now as each day goes by, I feel more and more visible to myself and others. But the worst feeling isn't being lonely, it's being forgotten by someone you would never forget. Maybe you felt ignored or invisible while you were in prison or in rehab, and no one put money on your account, came to visit. No one called or wrote letters. So, how do you walk the road of becoming visible again after you're released from prison or get out of rehab? Well, reconnecting with the world, the community, friends and family can be really tough. And we get riddled with the thought, how do I regain my dignity when everyone is afraid to give me a second chance? Or maybe you're solid in your recovery, but you're still struggling to feel like you fit in. In the same way, you can feel neglected in a relationship, and that is painful. You know, the intimacy is gone. The conversations seem more stiff and logistical instead of talking about meaningful things. Or you might have the thought, I just can't make you laugh anymore. And I'm feeling like there's no future. Nothing is waiting for me in this relationship anymore. All these are common struggles as we try to work at reconciliation and reintegration into community. But Jim Carrey, the famous actor, once said, and I quote, "Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Risk being seen in all of your glory." Are you ready to risk being seen and to stay in the present and share your glory? Or are you stuck feeling invisible where you believe that your words don't matter, your thoughts don't matter, your ideas or opinions don't matter? You feel that you are the one who is always overlooked, and you begin to believe that you really don't matter at all. American entrepreneur and author Jacqueline Novogratz once said, "What we yearn for as human beings is to be visible to each other." Are those your yearnings today? The yearnings to just be visible to people that you care about, to be visible to friends and family, and to be visible when you just bump into people that you never met and you're striking up a conversation. You see, being visible can be a huge part of our healing in the midst of our recovery. British group The Who captured these thoughts in their song, "See Me, Feel Me." Listen to the lyrics. See me, feel me, touch me, heal me. Listening to you, I get the music. Gazing at you, I get the heat. Following you, I climb the mountain. I get excitement at your feet. Right behind you, I see the millions. On you, I see the glory. From you, I get opinions. From you, I get the story. Wow. Can you see how important it is to be visible again? To be able to feel the music, to be stirred and feel juices flowing in us of desire, to feel that we could climb any mountain and that we're excited walking beside and behind those that care about us. And we begin to be able to share our opinions and our story as well as listening to theirs. You see, becoming visible again is what is huge to make our recovery solid and stable. But sometimes the stigma of addiction, of our past, keeps the shame and ever-present reality in our recovery. It seems like even if people are willing to give us a second chance, they keep reminding us that we have to re-earn their trust. Then that just stirs up our paranoia again, because it seems like those we care about are only caring to check up on us and make sure that we're not slipping up or relapsing. And their paranoia about us, well, that just builds up, and we're afraid that they're just waiting to call us a fool and say, I told you so. Or they're afraid to be called a fool by their friends for trusting us one more time. Well, Daniel Steele, the 4th best-selling fiction author of all time, said this, and I quote, "It's hard being visible, so I've made myself invisible." Are you one who've just settled to make yourself invisible in your recovery? Have you just given up on your dreams, on your wishes, on your hopes, and said, you know what? I'll just stay invisible because it's easier than pushing through to a full life. Well, I want to urge you today to be visible, to share your thoughts and feelings, to chase your dreams. Don't settle for an invisible life. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy these podcasts, please share the link with your friends. If you'd like to support our work with people caught in the snare of addiction, homelessness, or incarceration around the world, please click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount could change a life. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay strong.